Hi, how you doing? I'm going to apologize first off for sounding a little bit stuffy. I came back from vacation with a cold and still trying to get over that, but that's the way it is. Today is December 14th, and it's time to start the Lisianthus seed. I probably would have started it just a little bit earlier toward the beginning of December, but we were on vacation, and so I thought it best to wait until we got back for that. I just have 2 packages of the Lisianthus seed. Each package has, it says, between 21 and 25 seed. I don't expect them all to germinate, and I'll just get into that in a bit. But we'll get going on that. My name is Sharon. I garden on a large yard in a small town in east central Saskatchewan, Zone 3. Welcome to my Sass Garden. So these are the 2 packages of seed. This one is Arena Purple, and the other one is Corelli Lavender. And I got those two thinking that they might look nice together if I plant them in a pot, which I think I might, just to be able to bring them in the fall or into the greenhouse or something to be able to extend the season. I've read that Lisianthus are perennial in higher zones, like zone 8 or 9 or something, and so they should winter indoors as well. And yeah, I just thought I'd give that a whirl. Now, as I said, it says on here that they are 21 to 25 pellets. I'll also note here that it says they're packed and tested for 2024. Now, I ordered these from William Dam Seeds in maybe September or August or September. And so, yeah, I got 2024 seed. And so I have also read that and heard on some videos and from some other growers that pelleted seed doesn't last as long as unpelleted seed. So I am not expecting to have, great germination. What is this? Their package usually says what their germination rate is, 98%. With any luck, I'm hoping for maybe 75% germination on these. Anything I've read about pelleted seeds says they should be seeded within a year of purchasing them, or within a year probably of them being pelletized. So I'm thinking that's probably right about now, that they would be a year. Maybe I'll get a higher germination rate. Maybe not, but we'll see. So I've mentioned before that I use the ProMix high porosity soil or soil mix for pretty much everything. The one thing that it could be a little dicey for is for starting seeds. Although I do use it, the only thing I do different is that I sieve the soil a bit just to get out any big bits. And so I have this, I call it a soil sifter. You can also use it for sifting out chaff from seeds, big seeds, mind you, but it comes with 3 sizes of screens. And for this job, I think I'll use the middle one. I don't know if you could see that grid. I don't know what that would be, maybe 1/4 inch. And then there's a bigger grid and a very small one. And I'm sure that this small one will be too small. Bigger bits of perlite that I don't really want in there. That just snaps in like that. I've got my other supplies here. These are what I'm going to start them in, 20 to 25 seeds. So I can do 3 or 4 rows by 6. And I just like doing them in these as opposed to in the cells, mostly because it saves space. These fit perfectly into one of these deli containers. This one is from chicken, I think. Once they're washed out, they're perfect. This one doesn't have any holes on the bottom, so it can also be used to soak if I needed to, and has a great little humidity dome that fits right on top. and it just saves space. I have a couple of other things on the heat mat right now, and I'm going to utilize the heat mat for starting these Lisianthus seeds. And so, yeah, that's going to work perfectly. Just put that off to the side for a second while I get some soil. Grow room video a few weeks ago, I showed you my setup of where I keep everything. And the soil I just have in a roughneck Rubbermaid tote. Keeps it nice and contained. So yeah, see, that's these big bits of perlite, which I guess I can break apart, but there's also big bits of the soil mix, and so I just kind of want to get those big bits out. Certainly can be used for anything else, so I'm going to put it right back in there. Just get a little bit more. I just need enough to fill those 2 little containers. Try not to spill it all over. There's also some little pieces of wood I see. But yeah, these kinds of things, you know, if a seed lands up under there and that's not broken apart or doesn't come apart, that seed might have a hard time coming through. From what I understand, this is my first time trying Lisianthus seed, and from what I understand, seeding it and getting it to germinate and getting it to grow is a very long process and can also be a little bit challenging, I guess. So I'm going to wet that down a little. And one of the reasons I do that is just to stop any dust that I certainly don't need anything more in my lungs making me cough today, because I'm got enough going on with the cold. And I'm not going to use gloves today, so just dampen that just a little bit more. In this container of water, I also use RO water. Our water is very, very hard, and I do find that it has some issues with seedlings. I usually keep a pail of water, as you maybe remember from that last video. I keep a 5-gallon pail of water just down on the floor, so that it becomes room temperature, and so that maybe the chlorine will dissipate. I think that's a really nice consistency. Now I'm not going to add anything else to that soil, and so I'm just going to fill these up a little. We are going to be pretty much ready to start. Lisianthus seed likes to be sown on the surface because it needs light to germinate. So I'm just going to do that. I won't wet it down again until I actually put the seed down, but I do need to mark them. I have these tags, and I always make 2 out of 1. These are too large, especially when you're putting them in a container with a lid. Okay, so those are marked. Those are tagged. Soil is in, all is good. We'll start off with the arena purple. And as I said, these are pelleted. And so pelleted seed always come in something else, either a little vial or they are in a little package like that. And that's to prevent the coating on the seed from coming off. And the reason that some seeds are pelletized is just to make them easier to handle. I've mentioned before how some seeds are, you know, so small, they're just like a speck of pepper, and they become a little bit difficult to manage when you're trying to put them into place. There we go. There's the seeds. And I'm just going to try dropping them. So here's a close-up. You can tell, you can see how difficult it is to see the seed. But, for example, here is one. That tiny little white thing there, that's a pelletized seed. And, you know, they should make that pelleted coating pink or green or something so that you could see it a lot better. So that's one of them. And then we'll just get the lavender one done. It says it should germinate in 10 to 14 days with a soil temperature of 65 to 70 F or 18 to 20 degrees C. I'm going to use my heat mat, and that is because down here in the grow room, the temperature, general temperature, would remain about 15. So it does stay on the cooler side. That's actually to my benefit most of the time, except for starting seeds. When I had fluorescent lights, that actually, the fluorescent lights provided a little bit of heat, especially when you used a dome over top of a seedling tray. There was a little bit of heat gain in that seedling tray. But when I switched to LED lights, the LED lights do not provide any heat whatsoever. So that's why I will have to utilize the heat mat for these. Using heat often will spur on the germination a little bit quicker. I once had geranium seeds germinate within 48 hours. It was crazy how quickly they, from seed to germinating, and that was on the heat mat. So I'm just going to press them in lightly, and then I'm going to make sure that none are stuck on my finger after I'm done that. But darn near impossible to see. I could do a close-up, but we're just going to see, really, we're just going to see perlite. So I have some fine vermiculite, and I'm just going to sprinkle that on, just really light. The light will still, it's not enough to stop the light from getting to the seeds. I also find that using vermiculite also helps if you have a fungus gnat issue. Any kind of a top dressing tends to help with fungus gnats. You know, they love that nice moist soil, but every time I've used a top dressing of vermiculite, I don't have trouble with them congregating on top of there. Should work good. And just to thoroughly water the soil, even though I pre-moistened it, just going to put a little bit of water inside of this container so that it can just wick it up from the bottom without saturating the top. And I'm also just going to take some of this RO water. It is room temperature, and I do find it better for seedlings. Until they get their first or second set of true leaves, then they seem to be able to handle that hard water without a problem. But you know, that hard water, sometimes it can leave like a crusty mineral bits on top of the soil. And so, especially for little seeds like this, that I'm expecting that they need the absolute best kind of conditions to try and poke through to begin with. I just think it's beneficial. So there we go. I'm going to probably open this daily and, you know, just give it a little bit of fresh air, and then seal it up again. The idea for these is very high humidity to get the seeds to germinate properly. Very high humidity, high light, and in my case, heat. If you're germinating these, or if you're starting these in a normal room temperature, you probably don't need a heat mat. But as I said, this room is cool. The water under there it's already pretty much gone. So I think that's going to be good. And I'm just going to show you under here. That's the heat mat that they'll sit on. And that heat mat is a very low temperature. I don't even know what it might be. It would be interesting to know, I suppose. The last time we talked about these seeds just briefly, that I'm trying to germinate some peony seeds. One more look at the Lisianthus seeds. Everyone cross your fingers for me that they're going to germinate. So that's it for me for today. Thanks very much for watching, joining me today. If you enjoyed it, consider giving me a thumbs up, tell your friends, and hit the subscribe button. Thanks again. See you.